A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Hopefully, everyone had a very happy and prosperous Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully, some of you didn't eat too much, but if you did, that's okay. You can splurge for at least one day, and in my case, it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And did I enjoy myself? So with that being said, here's what the guest menu looks like. Santoria Black, first guest from the Grambling State Radio Network. He'll join me, of course. I felt the pain, the feelings from a lot of you. No Bayou Classic today. You'd be getting ready for a 4 p.m. kickoff. So what I plan to do is just simply this. Kind of have a virtual Grambling State Southern University Bayou Classic. We'll go a little bit down memory lane. Last year's game, oh boy, what a ball game. And maybe, just maybe, you can send in your favorite Bayou Classic moment. I got one in particular. I got actually about two or three, but one I'll definitely think about with Santoria. And again, send in your most memorable Bayou Classic game. And you can do that several ways, and I'll tell you about that. Following Santoria Black will be former Southern University football player DeMarcus Boo Boo Miller. That's right, Boo Boo Miller. All 5'10" at that time, about 285, but now a slim and trimmer. DeMarcus Miller, just quite simply, my favorite defensive player of all time. Not just me, but DeMarcus Miller will join me and, of course, give his Bayou Classic memories and just kind of maybe behind the scenes of what that game meant to him and means to a lot of alums of the Bayou Classic. Then we'll switch gears in hour number 2. Only one guest. Coach Van Pettaway will join me. I have a lot to talk about. Basketball season has started, and very shortly I'm going to give my trending thumbs up to a couple of basketball programs in this conference that have done quite well, honestly, in the early season. And, we talked about the challenges of practice and with COVID-19 and what have you. But no excuses. They came out and they've done well. I'm going to highlight them in just a second. So that's the guest menu for you today. Santoria Black of the Grambling State Radio Network, DeMarcus Miller joins me, and then Coach Van Pettaway. Shout out, trending, thumbs up, stock up to the Prairie View and the men's basketball team. Quite simply, they could very well be 2-0 in this early season. But we look at a 64-61 victory over Evansville, and just quite simply, these are the type of games I look at with a critical eye. Okay, in my case, I need both. Actually, four eyes. But I look at those type of games, and just quite simply, Prairie View will be tough again. Will I back down with my thoughts on Prairie View? No. But guess what? I give them credit's due. Over Evansville and Arkansas Little Rock, quite simply, had control of that game. Could very well be 2-0. Now, they've got Louisville coming up. We wish them luck. On the women's side, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff women, Coach Dawn Brown, a 17-point victory. You can't see me, but if I had video along with this show, I'll be doing the Spiritual Holy Ghost two-step right now. The University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, a 17-point victory over another critical game that I look at, and then a state school. Could this be the dawn of Dawn Brown and UAPB? Now you got a transfer over there, former player from Texas Southern, but I just wanted to start the show giving kudos to those two teams. So we're going to talk some Bayou Classic memories, basketball with Coach Pettaway, of course. We'll give our thoughts before he comes on the show. Money games, guaranteed. I understand. Boy, could there be some limit on those games. Somehow I remember Dr. McClellan talking about scheduling in a different way for men's basketball and, of course, women's basketball as well. We'll get a little bit into that. Southern University, my alma mater, tough loss to North Carolina Central University, second year in a row in overtime, led that game pretty much, and let it get away from them. And then last night got a chance to listen to a little bit of a game with the number 5 team in the country, Iowa. You know what the results would be, 103-76, but something just spectacular in this ball game. And I've heard for some Southern Knights already. Whew, boy. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you're just like them. But they were not a happy camper because Luka Garza, 41 points, but what he did, a 6'11" center for Iowa, he had 36 points in the first half. He just was unstoppable. And the Jaguars will play the number 1 team in the country, Gonzaga, coming up shortly, and they are, just quite simply, they deserve that number 1, albeit all of this is early. And then, of course, you had some other games. North Carolina Central also took a thrashing from Iowa, and Howard University off to a 0-2 start. And I guess what I would ask you, and please just take this in the spirit that it is given when I ask this question. And we're so appreciative and happy of getting a lot of the, starting to get a lot of the top players to come to HBCU, basketball, football. But with that, in the case of basketball, have we been a bit unrealistic in this point that when you get a star player to come in, it's still going to take some other things, recruiting budgets, are still doing some other things that need to be done. Were we a bit unrealistic to think that maybe it was going to be a game changer right off the bat, but these things will still take some time? Just kind of get your thoughts on that. Let me check on the producer of today's show, Dr. Michael Prince. Dr. Prince, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my man. I'm envisioning you doing your Holy Ghost 2-step dance.
Oh yeah.
Would you be one to go whoop whoop, or would you go hi-ya?
Well, no, it's gonna be the footwork. Always the footwork, and of course, in sitting down in the chair.
You can flow,
doing it, but
flow real good
I was
like
ready
that.
to get up.
You ready to get up?
Yeah, but hey, you may call me many things, but one thing, just remember, I will give credit where credit is due. Now, you may not agree with my opinions and my perspective a lot, but that's just the way it goes. That's life. But big wins for Prairie View.
Oh, yeah.
I say wins, but it very well could have been wins. But a nice win over Evansville, who, by the way, I believe last year upset Kentucky. That was last year.
Yeah, that was last year. Now, to be quite honest with you, I said I'd be satisfied coming back 2-1 on this trip, but I would be okay with 1-2. I Would love to see the upset win over Louisville, but I'm a realist. I'm going to be pulling for the upset win. But that was one I kind of almost just gave that one up, if you would. But I felt very good against the chances of Little Rock and Evansville. And so far, so good. I'm pleased.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, kudos. I give credit what's credit is due. You won't rank one or the other, but on the women's side, UAPV, a 17-point victory
Huge.
over an in-state school, which is, Arkansas State is not a powerhouse by any means, but still, those type of victories, that could be, and it's early in both cases, but if the season for UAPV goes in a good direction, maybe we can point back to this moment.
Absolutely.
Game one, get off to a good start.
Well, what better way to make a statement, not only to the Sun Belt, but the rest of your conference competitors, to come out of the gate with a victory? You know what I'm saying? That, let's be honest, that does not happen on our side of the coin that often. It does not happen. So for Don Brown to be able to do that is a tremendous feat. Now let's hope that it doesn't become a double-edged sword, that you start believing that you're better than what you actually are as well. And then you could tank on that as well.
Yeah, well, I can understand that perspective. But I would think in that case, that particular case, it will give you the confidence that says, hey, we play the way that we're capable of playing. For momentum is something, and confidence. And it puts them on a course now that perhaps they're going to be better than what the prediction was put forth on where you would go. And preseason predictions are just that. You never know what will happen. And in this case, just talking around, practices has been challenging.
Mm-hmm. For
our institutions, but they will tell you they're not making that excuse. By the way, Jack says he agrees with me about Purview and them, and also let's not forget about Texas Southern men's playing Washington State.
Oh, extremely close, 56-52. Yeah, that was a heck of a game.
And they did very well. And speaking to a colleague this past week, and if we kind of go back a little bit, I was like, wow, Texas Southern was picked to win on the men's side. But then after that, I go in and I read some articles, and then I see what they have coming in for as transfers and who's coming back. Shame on me. Shame on me with Texas Southern. So why I sit there in amazement looking at where they were picked, then going back in and like I say, talk to a colleague and then reading some information, I can see why. So with COVID, and you just hope it's not too many stops and then continue, stop and go, this is going to be one heck of a basketball race on both sides, very competitive.
Yes, it is.
To say the least.
And speaking of stoppage, Prairie View's game against Philadelphia has been canceled for today. Women's side, they were scheduled to tip off at 3 p.m. today. So, you still got your challenges going on, but it is basketball season. It's exciting. And what I love about non-conference games, especially when we're up against Goliath, if you would, you never know when you might catch that lightning in a bottle, as in the case of Pine Bluff, as almost the case of Texas Southern, and what I'm hoping to be the case of Prairie View against Louisville tomorrow. That's part of the lure. You're not supposed to be expected to win, but you go in there with the expectations to win and giving it everything that you have, because you're a competitor by nature. And when you can get some of those, man, it tastes so sweet.
Yeah, well, we'll be pulling for all of the non-conference games, and in some cases, if let's just be honest. You've seen some 30, 40-point losses. And let me just say this, because if I'm going to give kudos to teams that have done well, exceeded my expectations, albeit you'll keep hearing me referring to, albeit it's still early. Boy, I personally felt the pain with Mississippi Valley State. That was tough. I don't even need to mention the scores. I mean, they were just lopsided. And once again, maybe you guys will tell me, and ladies, you may tell me that, you know what, you just need to stop it. Just stop it talking about these guarantee games. It is something that's necessary. I remember one point, Dr. Prince, I said a necessary evil.
Well,
that one out.
It is a necessary
these guarantee
evil.
Games, but I would limit them. And I got an email once from a guy who said, you know what, we have to play these games, football and basketball, because if not, our budgets will be in trouble. Well, we'll be in trouble then.
Well, you have to take the good with the bad, the bitter with the sweet. There are necessary evil because of that very said thing. The bottom line is the budget. Let's be honest. All budgets are not created equal. And in the case of the conference, of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, the budgets are very contrasting one to another. So every chance you get to get a guarantee game, it's almost like basketball and football in most cases become those sacrificial lambs for the rest of the athletic department. And it's unfair, but it's an ugly reality that not only us as HBCUs, but FCS or mid-majors across the gamut have to deal with and face year to year.
Well, I'll still state my case. I don't like them. I don't understand why a department would have 10 or 11 of those games, and then they'll throw in an NAIA school. Don't like it. I'll just state that for the record once again. And if you agree with me, fine. If you disagree with me, that is quite all right.
Well, I don't think you have much of a pushback on disagreeing with it. But when you understand the economical piece, how else are you going to generate your income?
I think you can schedule smart.
Well, scheduling smart is good.
And I'm not saying not playing any of them, albeit in the perfect world. And I remember one time having Coach Banks on, and he, a matter of fact, when he became director of athletics for the second time, full time at Southern University, he talked about bringing in a tournament and playing it that way. I've talked to former ADs in this conference. I've had them on the show, and I just point blank asked them. I mean, it's a necessary evil, but I remember even last year, and we'll ask Coach Pettaway again. What incentive, if I come in and my team, the team that I follow, my team, they're 1-10, 1-11. But you know what? People who say it's a necessary evil, some will say, well, guess what? Even Charles Edmonds said this. They're not going to be persecuted for playing those kind of schedules. They're going to be evaluated on the conference schedule. So with that being said, perhaps some are right. You come in 0-12, but if you win your conference and you get the tournament championship and you're in NCAA and you get a piece of that pie. Oh, and by the way, this year with COVID, I don't think you're getting your regular scheduled guarantee game at the normal price.
I think there is somewhat of a COVID discount going on with that. But I had a question to ask you, Franchise. Would you rather your team come in with a 10-3 record coming into a regular conference play, not to be challenged, not to be prepared for a regular season, and they stumble through the regular season and say they finish in the number 5 spot, but they had a very productive non-conference schedule, and then they're two and done, 1-2 Scoobaloo in the tournament. Would you be happy with that?
Wait a minute, clarify that again. The champ with the non-conference again.
Yeah, you come in non-conference 10-3. You've had a productive non-conference. You played those, as you would call them, reasonable games. They're not necessarily guaranteed games, but they're games that fluff your confidence, fluff your record. But then you come into regular season and you finish, let's say, 5th seed, and then you're 1-2 and you're out the tournament. Or it was one and done. Now it used to be double elimination. But you understand what I'm saying. Would you prefer that? Or would you rather play the challenging games that's going to prepare you for a conference, and you get a little money on the side of it? Okay, you take that experience, take that capital to help build your program, and then you have a more fulfilling conference, and then you do a little productive in your tournament play. Which one would you rather have?
In Louisiana, we would call what you just asked me a gumbo. You got all kinds of scenarios into that situation. I would prefer, once again, to have a smart schedule where you have some victories against your peers, mid-majors, that would do well. Those guarantee games, by the way, you're going to get money for them, but you could very well get a 30, 40-point loss. And some occasions, you will pull an upset every now and then, like Texas Southern did a couple of seasons ago.
Mm-hmm.
I still would rather schedule smart, do that, and then if you come in a conference and then you slip up and you're projected to be second or third and you don't get that, well, yeah, I'm still going to be not happy about that, because within your conference against your peers, you did not do well. But I am not going to advocate playing all of those guarantees. You can have 3 or 4 or whatever, 4, but you're playing 10 or 12 guaranteed games. And then how about the ones where you don't even play a home game?
Well, that would be the case of Texas Southern. But once again,
so I think to me you got to have some balance with that and schedule smart.
But I think the loophole in your statement was schedule smart. And if I can make this money, get the work that I need to improve my team with the possibility of pulling off the upset, but more than likely, I'm going to guarantee that after playing these 10, 12 games, that I can pull in almost $1 million, $700,000, $600,000. I think
which you may not even get a 3% of that for your program.
Well, that's internal. That's internal, and they have to work that out internally. But I know for a fact that some of these guys,
I hear that majority of that goes back into invested back into their basketball program,
right?
Which is great. But you know what? You take route B, I take route C. Our goal is to get to that regular season, tournament championship, and get to the NCAA to get a slice of that pie. I said a necessary evil, but at what cost?
Well, but look at it. Look at it from a recruiting standpoint. Let's say you got a kid on the bubble. No doubt he's an upper tier player, but you want to sell the chance of him becoming part of something special by playing these guys where you can pull off that Cinderella moment, and still build a dynasty with your program where he's going to be that key figure instead of coming off the bench or whatnot. And you could sell that possibility. Hey, man, come and be a part of something special. But if you're not even challenging your program, you're not going to even draw those type of guys.
Let's see. What would sell better to me? A good victory like UAPB did on the women's side against Arkansas State, or losing by 70 to Duke?
No, what would sell good to any competitor, I don't care if the kid is an NAIA player. That student athlete has some type of confidence to a degree of arrogance where they might feel like that they were overslighted by the larger program. And if you can sell that kid, hey, we're going to play that very school that turned you away, what would it feel like for you to put it right back in their face and you go and be a part of something special here with little Joe from Kokomo University? Come and help us out to be a star. We want you. They didn't even want you. So come be a part of something special and let's stick it back to them together. That could lure a guy that's a tweener.
To me, then, that has to happen across the board, not every now and then.
Well,
but it happens. Has to consistently happen, but you have to start somewhere and
that's by scheduling the game. You have to be on the same floor with them to pull it off.
I'm sorry, I'm not scheduling, but I guess that's why I'm not a director. I'm not scheduling 9 or 10 of those money games. No, I'm not doing it. And to say, well, then you are not into competition or being competitive. No, it's about knowing where you are and where you want to go. And I just think you can, schedule smart.
Well, I for that, and I know we got to go, but I would rather schedule games like this in a basketball setting compared to that of a football setting, because the chances of me winning in basketball or I would love and know to think are going to be a little bit better percentage-wise than that in a football setting. Football is literally a slaughter. That is a sacrificial lamb situation, if you ask me.
Yeah, but that's football. And actually baseball, you can like the odds even better or comparable to basketball.
No doubt with that.
But let's see, we got messages coming in here. Let's pull it up here. Let's pull it up. Well, somebody be nice. How getting your blank beat by 40 points? How? I'm gonna have to look at that one before I can read it.
How getting your derriere kicked by 40 points is going to help, is what they asked.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go back and look at it. I want to make sure I'm able to read it. I agree with you, Carlos, about too many money games. Example, I think that Southern's women 2020-21 pre-conference schedule is a disgrace. Boy, they're all over the place too, and just big games. I don't believe that you can improve your program with a 40-point loss, because by losing by that amount, you are not able to execute any type of offense or defense against the stronger team.
I beg to differ on that. Now, you can execute, and it might get blown up, but if you're going to play an ultimate tougher opponent, and by you executing and going over whatever your skill set or your design attack is, you can improve on that. So I'd have to disagree with that statement. That's because
you always talk about parity, but you look at some of the scores already. There have been some lopsided losses, and it won't do any good to go inside the numbers. It is what it is. But that's why I pointed out, I love the win that University of Arkansas Pine Bluff got. That is a school that was a winnable game, and even perhaps in the past, that's a game that they lose, but they're able to come in and win by 17. Evansville, a mid-major, yes. I would say. Prairie View, a 64-61 victory over Evansville.
Yes.
Had Arkansas Little Rock. Texas Southern University. Had Washington State. See, in certain cases, it is going to happen. It's going to really happen, but we will monitor these scores, and as much as we can debate and discuss and have our disagreements about pre-conference,
look,
in reality, you've got to win your conference.
If this was Madden,
to get there.
If this was Madden, you have rookie mode, all pro, and then all Madden. You're not going to be recognized and accepted as one of the greats unless you start beating people on the all Madden level. And you could be the king of rookie, the king of all pro, but you're not even considered to be at the table unless you're competing in all Madden mode. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, more credibility to when you defeat, say like in Southern's case, if they would play Austin P and they win that basketball game. If they play a Dayton, you could play Iowa 10 times. It is what it is. Maybe you can have a 15-point loss, and that would be kind of a moral victory. But you know what's going to happen in most cases. But you be the best that you can be, and you've got to win your conference, that's for sure. In the regular season and in the tournament, more so. But I'll see how the conference, they're coming in left and right. So let me get a timeout in. We'll come back to more basketball talk with Coach Pettaway. I'll get his opinion on all of this again. He coached on this level. He may come on and say he would play 10 guaranteed games against the Floridas and the Auburn's. And by the way, Gonzaga just smoked Auburn yesterday. Ooh, boy. But give credit where credit is due. PV on the men's side, UAPV on the women's side. Throw some bouquets to Texas Southern University as well. And by the way, no Charles Edmond today, but he is close by you. He's in the airport getting ready to from Houston to go to Kansas. But if he was going to come on today, and I may tell him, and I told him this once and I'll tell him again, very disappointing loss. Alcorn State women to Southeastern.
Yeah, that one hit home, didn't it?
Points.
That one hit home for you, I know.
that's the kind of games I'm talking about. You're not playing Connecticut. You're playing Southeastern, and I'm sure they've had challenges with preseason practice and what have you. But anyway, I'll get some of your comments. They're coming in. I want to hear what you have to say. So I'll take a time out. When I come back, Santoria Black of the Grambling State Radio Network will join me. And by the way, that 2003 Bayou Classic. Quincy Richard, Bruce Eugene, over 1,000 yards total offense. And Southern wins that. And then we'll look at last year's ball game, a 30-28 loss by Grambling State, who led by as much as 18 points in that game. It looked bleak. I had people texting me, well, you won't get back to the championship game a second year in a row. Oh, but Southern did. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Be the one with courage to fight child abuse.
All Texans must find the courage to fight child abuse.
Learn the signs and symptoms and report suspected abuse to appropriate authorities.
Learn and know these warning signs.
A child who undergoes changes in behavior, appetite, or routine.
Watch for unexplained injuries, a change in academic performance, or loss of interest by a child in regular activities.
Trust your instincts. If you suspect something, do something.
If you believe a child is in an abusive situation, please call the Texas Abuse Hotline at 1-800-252-5400.
Be the one with courage. To find your local Children's Advocacy Center, visit onewithcourage.org.
On behalf of children, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth, Algebra 2, weighing in at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. foreign languages. The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you one chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or two to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is swacalumuniassociation@yahoo.com.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Oh, it's hot and heavy. It's hot and heavy with the comments of guaranteed games and what have you. We'll get back into that side of the conversation, and everybody's pulling me from 20 different parts. But I appreciate you weighing in on it. Whether you agree or disagree, sometimes it's not about agreeing and disagreeing. It's about facts and opinions. You know, I may be in a minority. As far as, you know, I don't understand the economics of it. You got to do it, right? But anyway, Santoria Black of the Grambling State Radio Network joins me. Santoria, how you doing, sir?
Greetings, sir. I see you've already made folks mad this morning. So, no. Don't take. Yeah, Carlos already rubbed folks the wrong way this morning. I already don't see that.
Well, I'm going to put myself out there and see if maybe I can change my mind on just how I feel about a situation. But I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels that way. But speaking of feelings, man. Have you had any withdrawals, Bayou Classic withdrawals? Have you talked to people who are still having withdrawals or have had Bayou Classic withdrawals?
Well, it's people that's taking Bayou Classic shots because they having so much withdrawal. I mean, you know, look, we need a Bayou Classic vaccine on this one because, man, it's really tough. But look, I have to be honest. You know, this is proof, though, that Bayou Classic was more than just about a game. It's about, you know, families getting together. It's about two schools getting together, celebrating Louisiana. It's about the entertainment. It's about seeing alums, classmates, people that you haven't seen in a long time in the hotels, on Bourbon Street, on Canal. It's about some of the parties and what have you. But, you know, it's more about the camaraderie. You miss that, and we know why. We know that it's necessary. We know that if we do things the right way now, we have more of a chance to have success in April when the Bayou Classic is in Shreveport and then next fall. But I think that's going to be the whole ticket. You know, whatever your political stances are really don't matter. It's about how do we get this thing under control to where we can get back to a semblance of normalcy. And I think that the lack of responsibility by leaders and by some people within the state of Louisiana have caused this pandemic to get even worse. And I think that, you know, everybody talks about, you know, well, we got to get back to normal. Whether right now there is no normal. The normal is wear your mask, wash your hands, stay 6 feet apart, and don't do anything stupid. You know, if you can follow that, you have a better shot of getting back to at least a semblance of normalcy. So it's really tough, man. But, you know, but look, it's necessary. And look, the other thing, let's just be honest, people that are our hue are dying at a disproportional rate. So I think that we have an even bigger investment in doing what's right than anybody else. So that's just my opinion on that. And, you know, I'm hopeful that we can have a good spring schedule. We've already seen Alcorn and Kent State was canceled today because of COVID issues with Alcorn. That's men's basketball. So, you know, that's just some of the things that we just have to do. We have to understand where we are and try to make it better.
Yeah, and I'm sure alums of FAMU, Florida A&M University, Bethune-Cookman University, they were going through this last week, with the Florida Classic, Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Magic City Classic. It's just you're accustomed, you enjoy it, and it's more than just a sporting event. You know, in case of the Bayou Classic and other classics, you know, you have events leading up to the sporting event, the Battle of the Bands, Greek show, you know, job fair, all of that. And I think you said it best, the camaraderie, you know, and literally Southern grammar, it's family.
Yeah.
You know, now I like to beat each other now. Don't get me wrong on that. Because I'm sure some Grammar State fans just waiting for a chance to get back at the Southern football team because what is the last 2 years in a row.
Oh, exactly. You know, and that's the thing. You know, you were looking forward to all of that, and you know, my family, we were talking about that, and we, you know, everybody's looking forward to that. And we're just like, wow, this is Saturday of the Bayou Classic, and we're not going anywhere. And you know, sometimes it hits you that, you know, that what was normal and what we really had, you appreciate even more now for what it is. And I think that now that you understand what that feeling is like, it's kind of like, man, I ain't gonna see my woman. And, you know, all of a sudden, you know, you're just like, well, dang, I gotta do something better so I can go see her. And that's what it is. You know, she might make you mad, she might irritate you and all that kind of stuff, but man, you cannot breathe without her. And that's the way it is with Southern and Grambling. You know, it's that camaraderie, that family experience. And that's what really I'm hoping that we can get back to. You know, it is really a tough situation, not just from the fan standpoint, but, you know, look, economically, it's hitting everybody hard. But, you know, look, we're hoping for the best. And that's what we can do at this point. We can do our part and be responsible. And hopefully we'll be able to see each other in April.
I'm visiting with Santoria Black of the Grambling State Radio Network. I've asked this question to a lot of people, but I don't think I've ever asked you. You're a broadcaster. What is a most memorable Bayou Classic moment that you could remember, albeit you're broadcasting the game, but it was like it had you like, wow, mesmerized, that particular Bayou Classic game?
Two. I can think of two. The first one was the very first time I went to the Bayou Classic. Mm-hmm. And that was 1994. In 93, I actually was at my grandparents' house in Tennessee watching it on television. I didn't work the board that day because I was just like, well, I want to go home and see family. I was young and stupid, didn't realize what I was missing. 94, I go to the Bayou Classic, And here this kid is from Beloit, Wisconsin. He didn't have nothing but about 75, 80 black kids in the graduating class out of 350. And wow. I'm on the sideline, and literally, I look around the Superdome, and, this is at the height, 70,000 plus of the Superdome. And I look around, and I said to a guy that was standing next to me from New Orleans, I said, man, I'm from Wisconsin. I've never seen as many black people in my life. And and he just looked at me and he said, you got to be kidding. I said, dude, I'm from Wisconsin, man. I said, this is only like visions on TV, but to experience all these black people is incredible. And he was like, wow. I was so excited. I went back, we didn't have cell phones like that back in the day. So I found a phone and I called my mom. I said, Mom, you believe how many black folks is in here? It's just incredible. And so she was just like, it was just incredible. And so that was the first one because I was just at an awe for what I was seeing and experiencing. I'd never experienced anything like that before. And then I think the next one is the first time in, for 11 years, I think that we had beaten Southern. We had gone years without beating them. And that year that we beat them was just incredible. We had a young lady on the sideline, Cheryl Cooper. She's going to be mad at me when I tell her, when she I told this story. But she was on the sideline, and Grambling was actually winning. I think Bruce Eugene was still quarterback at that point in time. And we were winning. And I told Cheryl before we came back from our last break, I said, Cheryl, be careful. If you're not careful, man, you're going to get caught up in the emotion on the sideline as the clock goes down and we're winning. And so she says, no, I got this. And as that clock was ticking down, Ossie and I looked at each other and we was like, we finna win this game. We were just like going nuts. And so right before the final horn, we go down to Cheryl. We said, Cheryl, what is it like on the sideline? And she says, Sam, the band is playing. The players are there excited. They go, and she started crying on the air. And so it was just, but you know what? You can't understand that and feel that unless you've been down in the dumps and, you've had those problems and, you come out of, losing to your rival for so long. And so that was probably the other one that I remember, which was just absolutely incredible. And to see those coaches and those players respond, it was just like, wow, it was like winning the Super Bowl. I kid you not. And that was probably one of the best games that we've ever had and we've ever broadcasted. It was just that day. And that weekend was just absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah, listening to you and people are sending me messages. You get 1999, 1993. The one that I was going to bring up when you mentioned Bruce Eugene, which I had a pleasure of interviewing him maybe 2 months ago. Mm-hmm. And Quincy Reshaw, 44-41. Santora, I bet you were a tired you-know-what after that game. Over 1,000 yards of total yards. It was a epic battle. Bruce Eugene, the motion, and I asked him about that, and he basically said, I get that all the time. I have no problem saying that my emotions were there because that was a game. It was hard, and I, I can understand from an emotional standpoint. Yeah, to lose a game of that magnitude, and you played your heart out, and he did mention that he wish he could have had that interception back at the end, and then you have to go face the media afterwards. That is a tough situation, but that one, that was a classic. That Bayou Classic.
Oh yeah, it was, and we were so tired. We went and ate and went to bed. We, normally we go hang out on Bourbon Street and, at least go for a walk, whatever the case is. And we were so tired after that. We went and ate, and I'll never forget. We just looked at each other. We were just like, "What y'all want to do now?" I was like, "Man, we want to go to the room and go to bed." Yeah, it was just draining, man. And so after that, we literally went back to the room. I think I had a sip of a nightcap. And down in the hotel bar for a second, and we went to bed. It was just a lot that went on that day. And that's the other thing is that, emotional games, especially if you're a broadcaster or you're a journalist, emotional games do take a toll on you, man, because you're just like, wow, just the magnitude of that game and what it does. And especially if you have love and passion in your heart for your school that's just something that you just can't ignore. You're just like, I'm going to get paid either way. But, if you ever went to that school and you love that school, man, a game like that will wear you out.
And you're absolutely right. And then there was a time, you remember after Katrina, the Bayou Classic moved to Houston, and then there were, a sense of dwindling attendance.
Yeah.
And people were questioning, and then it was a board member that basically said Southern University Board of Supervisors. And I actually had him on a few months ago, and we literally didn't fight the whole segment, but we could have. I think you know who I'm talking about, and I'll mention the name. Tony Clayton was talking about replacing. He would like to see Grambling replaced as the opponent in the Bayou Classic. He's lucky. I think I took a shot at him physically. If he'd have said that in front of me, and I would have been wrong. Yeah, but that's kind of another story, our relationship. But then to see the attendance come back, and could one say, because in a rivalry, you'll win 4 or 5 in a row, then you could lose 4 or 5 in a row, and it is painful. But then a guy comes back to lead the program who played in the Bayou Classic, Coach Fobbs. And then Grambling started winning. Then you notice the crowds. So let's just be honest. Southern has a campus, of course, in New Orleans. Grambling makes that's what, a 4-hour trip? Close to it?
About 5, almost 5.
Wow, you drive slow. But anyway,
when you got a family, man, you can't do 85 or 90 on interstate.
Say no more. The man who cried when he got a ticket going almost 90 in Mississippi after Jackson State.
Ooh.
But anyway, I was wrong for that. But when Grambling started going on that run, then the attendance started coming back, and now, even last year, up by 18, Grambling State, it looks like it's kind of over after the first quarter. I was getting text messages, well, this is not Southern's year, and then Southern's able to come back and defeat Grambling State 30-28. So it's so many memorable moments. And then last but not least, Santori, I remember the last, and I'm just going to be honest, they say real men don't cry. That's a bunch of you-know-what. Eddie Robinson, the legendary Coach Robinson, his last game, that was so emotional. I mean, tears were just flowing. Yeah. And watching him at the end of the game, and Coach Richardson never lost a game. So what? That was history right there to see that.
Yeah. Because you know why, though? I'm going to tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
When you saw a legend like Eddie Robinson, he was one of the first, when you think about the magnitude of what he did nationally and internationally, that had to walk away from the game, and that had that much of a spotlight on him. And I'm going to even go even something that Southern will recognize. When A.W. Mumford retired, or eventually he walked away, how emotional it was for Southern University to watch him walk away. And as much respect as everybody had for him, as much respect as everybody loved him, everybody knew that it was time. And when you looked at Coach Robinson, you knew it was another 3-8 season. It was time, but nobody wanted to see it. Nobody wanted to watch Coach Gaither walk away, Coach Mumford walk away. They didn't want to see Coach Carson walk away. They didn't want to see Rob walk away. But you knew at some point it was time.
Yeah.
And it was just like the reality behind it is we've always seen these figures as immortal figures coaching the game. And then when their mortality in coaching eventually caught up with them, we never thought we would see that. We could not imagine the game without Robinson, and without Coach Hobby, and without, Coach Mumford, and without Coach Joe. We never saw that. And so when the moment happens, it's just devastating almost. It's like losing a family member. You're not going to see them down there next year. So very emotional Bayou Classic. And he walked away. And I remember talking to him after the game. He could not even keep it all together after the game. It was just that emotional for him.
Yeah, because myself personally, I got a chance to meet him at the Heritage Bowl where I can just stand and talk with him, and oh, what a precious wife he had, strong, and they were just nice. But to just, see that part of history, it was historic, and I don't think it was a dry eye in the press area, well, at least where I was. No, there wasn't. Because that was tough, and you were happy, because you're a Southern alum or you pull up a Southern, but just to see him there, that just kind of melted your heart away there. But there have been many more memories and Southern Grambling State, no matter what sport it is, that they're going to give it their all when they're on the competitive field, Santoria.
Yeah. And I think that's the truth, man. You just, look, like I said, you have these figures that are you just larger than life, and all of a sudden one day you're like, wow, they're no longer down there. And you remember just some outstanding moments that you had. But it's just, it's the way life goes now. You hate it, but it moves on.
Yeah, I have a saying that, and it happens at least, if not every week, you understand someone has passed away, and I simply say journey well, because they've journeyed, from this physical life, and there's always a spiritual component to it. But a lot of memories. And especially now, man. I just think about this. You think about the number of coaches, and I'm going to use a Jackson State reference, that W.C. Gordon had on his team. Coach Carson, Coach Oliver. I got the one guy who went to Alcorn. There were 3 head coaches right there that was a part of his staff. And you look at Coach Robinson and the number of coaches. Look what Todd Bowles has done. You take a look at what, Coach Porter did. He went on after Grambling. You take a look at what Dirk Winston did. And, all of these guys who, were under these coaches, these great men. And it was more than just a game. This was more about, man, we're moving on. We're doing different things in life, and we're succeeding in life. Nothing made these coaches happier when they succeed in life. When I was talking to Coach Pete Richardson, he said, the greatest gift that a player can give me is their degree. When they have their degree in their hand and they're going on to be successful in life, it's the greatest gift that he can give me, because I know that I have succeeded in what I've told their parents. He's going to leave Southern University with a degree. Same thing at Grambling. It's what Coach Rob said. It's what Coach Hobby said. It's what Coach Reynolds said. Just all of them. They want you to leave with a degree because they know that eventually this game is going to be done, and you got to be able to get that degree. And boy, I could do a show just on what talking to people that have told me that Coach Robinson, great guy, but even, boy, selling parents on coming to Grambling State, the Grambling way, they say he was, and don't take this the wrong way, they say he was brilliant at it.
Yeah, he was.
He could have a piece of apple pie that maybe it's not as sweet, but tasting that pie and just knowing to get the parents' trust of your young man coming to Grambling State, they're going to be taken care of. They say he was really something else, boy, in that recruiting trail.
Oh, man. He
knew every trick of the trade and then some.
He reminded me, there's a quarry in Georgia where they sell this really bright white sand. They sell it to the folks over in Dubai. Now, only intelligent people can sell sand to people in the desert. I mean, and that's what Coach Rob was able to do. He was able to sell sand to people in the desert because he was just that good. He would say, hey, look, this is better than what you're seeing. And then when you actually see the product, like, wow, this is brighter than the sand that I actually have. How is this possible? This is even brighter. It's the brightest sand that I've ever seen. And, that's the way that Coach Rob was. He was able for you to see the brightness amongst all those grains of sand. He was able to make you see the brightness of your own sand.
Yeah. Well, Bayou Classic coming up later next year, but not today. And boy, you're still having that leftover Thanksgiving dinner, and in some cases, as I say this not too loud, you'll have it on Sunday as well.
Oh yes, indeed.
And watching the Bayou Classic, if you're not there, but for those who are watching, then it developed into watch parties. For those who didn't make it, they'll have some people over at the house, 8, 9, 10 people, and you watch the game, the halftime show. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, the Bayou Classic and how you were feeling today. Not normally you'd be in New Orleans and all set and ready for the football game, but this too shall pass.
Yeah, it will. And, I just want
something in April, and then turn around in the fall of 2021, hopefully.
Yeah, I just want to wish everybody just stay healthy, encouraged, and hopeful, and just remember that all things work for the better. And we don't know why things have happened the way that they have. We've lost some great people. Mm-hmm. And in all seriousness, and I think that the one thing that we all have to remember is this: the greatest gift or commodity that we have is time. So invest it wisely. So when we get ready to meet again, we'll all have that seat at the table. But right now, look, we just heard of a great pastor in North Louisiana, Superintendent Charles A. Stevenson Sr., who was over the Progressive District here in North Louisiana, who touched people all over the country. Passed away. He's passed away. His wife is in ICU, and we've seen so many people who just have succumbed to this vicious virus. And my thing is that we got to do what's best for us. We are dying at a disproportional rate. Your political views don't matter when you have to go 6 feet in the ground, because at that point, it's well done, thy good and faithful servant. And so we have to make sure that we are doing what we have to do so we can meet again as a family. It's hard. It's difficult. Nobody's saying that this is easy, but I would rather go through the difficult times than not have my right state of mind, because, look, there's a lot of families who are really struggling from this. And, whether you're a Gramblinite or a Southernite, pick the phone up today and check on your people, because this stuff is real. And, people are going through a lot of depression right now. People mark their calendars around Bayou Classic. And, I've talked to a good friend of mine who he is not doing well, because this is what he looks forward to every year. And so, pick that phone up and call somebody from an opposite school, call somebody from your own school, and find out how they're doing and encourage them, help them, make sure that we're all together again as a family. That's my biggest thing: mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy for the next time that we meet.
Well said. Well said. And until we see each other again the next time, you continue to be safe, stay blessed, and maybe next time we'll talk about that investment as we talked about before we came on the show. We'll have to put Santora in that category of, we got to do something. So Santora, will put you down. If you were director of athletics, you would have 10 to 12 guarantee games, correct?
Well, I'd have quite a few. I don't know about 10 to 12. Depends on the year, but it depends on how the Lord leads me. But I know this. In my dreams the other day, the Lord told me that Grambling was going to win this year. And so my mind was set on that. And I was just like, I felt that.
I'll end it on this way. Lucifer was not, as a young lad, I thought of this hideous creature with a tail and teeth coming out of his mouth, and he was hideous, and I had a nightmare. And my dad said, let me tell you something, son. He's not like that. That's the way he's represented. He was the most beautiful angel that God made, but he still was a devil.
Ooh, be ye not deceived, my brother. Ooh, Lord. Did you feel like Michael? Ooh,
on that note, I better go.
Whew. I'm trying to tell you, I felt the spirit of winning in my spirit. I guess that's why I dreamed about it. I had good ham and a good victory in my mind. So, it was all good. But anyway, man, look, be safe,
Southern. Until next time, Santoria. Take care, my brother.
All right, man.
Peace. All right. Take a quick time out when I come back. Oh, boy. I'm going to speak with DeMarcus Miller quickly, and then we'll wrap up today's show with Coach Van Pettaway. Well, I did have some people who disagree with me, and one was a summer night. See, there you go. Disagree with me about, the scheduling and the guarantee games, but someone just said, "Why you didn't blindside Tony Clayton, Carlos? He's easy to blindside." Wow. Yeah, he should have been blindsided for saying removing Grambling State as the opponent in the Bayou Classic. That's uncivilized. Who would you get to play? The Bayou Classic is Southern and Grambling State University. Southern and Texas Southern and Prairie View just don't have that same ring as Grambling State. It's special. Just like the Florida Classic, Magic City Classic, the Labor Day Classic, Texas Southern and Prairie View. That's what it is. That's what it should be. DeMarcus Miller coming up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
One voice. It can get the point across, but it only carries so far. Add a voice. It's richer, louder, but that has limits too. Add a third voice. It's even more powerful. Add another, and many, many more. And we are stronger than ever. That's the power of a community coalition. They help community groups, faith groups, civic organizations, PTAs, employers, and many others in your community organize their resources and focus them where they're needed most, like fighting to keep kids away from drugs. Ask a group that you belong to if they should belong to a community coalition. It's easy to get involved. Visit helpyourcommunity.org and they'll tell you exactly how your group can help. That's helpyourcommunity.org, because you get more when we get together. Brought to you by the Office of National Drug Control Policy and the Ad Council.
This is Sergeant Stephen Woodard with the Texas Department of Public Safety, and this is Traffic Talk. The Texas Department of Public Safety is reminding everybody here in the state of Texas that many of the driver's license offices across the state continue to offer appointments on Saturdays, and appointments remain available at all offices statewide Saturday for your convenience for renewal or replacement of Texas driver's license or identification cards. Saturday appointments also include several renewal election identification certificate items as well. Saturday appointments will be offered through December the 19th, and with the exception of course, November 28th, due to the Thanksgiving holiday. Offices will be open on Saturday from 8 a.m. 5 p.m. for your convenience. There are many Saturday appointments available in offices across the state. Just go to our website at texasdps.gov. You'll be able to click on the driver's license office tab. It'll bring up the offices that are open for you. Remember, Saturday appointments were added due to individuals not being able to renew or get new licenses. Nearly 700,000 Texans within the state were in a situation to where driver's licenses and identification cards were expired. We got your back covered. Also, keep in mind, safety precautions will be taken. Maintain a safe environment for you. Come in and take care of your transaction. Every driver's license station or booth is sanitized after every customer is finished, and there will be a social distancing line to ensure safety is ensued for you and the driver's license workers. Keep in mind, please wear your mask, bring hand sanitizer, and if you don't have it, we have it for you. We always ask that you arrive 30 minutes early for your set appointment. We'll get you right in. As a reminder, we're going to be open on Saturdays for your convenience. If you have any questions, give me a call at 832-266-8239. This is Sergeant Woodard, the Texas Department of Public Safety. That was your traffic call.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. My next guest is, I said it earlier, my favorite defensive player of all time, and that's just me. A young man, he's still younger than me, a slimmer down man the last time I saw him, from the city of Houston, 5'10", at the time in the 280s perspective, or maybe a little less than that, but just literally simplified toughness and got after people. And, 5'10", power lifter, state champion from Texas, and just got after people. He represented the toughness that their Southern Dog Day defense had. DeMarcus Miller joins me right now. Mr. Miller, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing wonderful, Carlos. Man, you had me thinking, who is you talking about, man? Golly, that sounds like one heck of a guy.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I really meant that. And I've had you on several times, and you've told the story of your recruitment to Southern University. I thought you were going to be going somewhere else. I didn't add this part, but it's a guy that you know very well. Doug Williams simply told me, Carlos, we could not block this man. Could not block him. And matter of fact, he told me if he was 6'1", and he said he did some talking. If he was 6'1", he had a chance in the NFL. And he mentioned another guy that's now on, used to be on Monday night, played at LSU, defensive tackle. Well, his name escapes me right now, but you get my drift. I mean,
Bubba McFarland.
Yeah, Booger McFarland. So he was really impressed with what you did at Southern University. So with no Bayou Classic today, like traditionally it is, have you on to just kind of talk about maybe those experiences you had in the Bayou Classic and your first Bayou Classic. I'm sure you still remember that well.
Well, that first Bayou Classic was, 1997, I believe. And as you mentioned earlier, I was signed, sealed, and delivered almost to Kansas State, which was in the Big 12 at that time. Mm-hmm. And, Kansas State is, the population color is a little different from Southern and the Grambling color out there.
Yeah.
And the guy that recruited me hard at Southern was Sam George, the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Sam mentioned to me, he said, man, you can go up there to K-State. It's going to have 60,000, 70,000. They're going to take care of you. It's going to be nice. But he said, man, but I tell you, it's nothing like playing in front of your people. And, I said, okay, Sam. But when I walked out that first Bayou Classic in 1997, I saw exactly what Sam meant. It just gave you a feeling of, I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. It's almost bringing you in tears when you're out there, when you're doing something that you love and you got your people and you're talking about the energy, the excitement that was going on in that dome, it was indescribable. And at that moment, I knew I had made the right decision to choose Southern over Kansas State.
And just in my opinion, when you're looking, even if you're not there, you're looking at it on NBC at the time, and the broadcast, the way they present it, Grambling State is the way they present it more well known, more famous. But my picture of, and I'll never forget, you guys coming out of the tunnel, and your hands are held high and they're together. Y'all holding hands and y'all come out. I said, this is wartime now. I literally said, Grambling State, they're going to go down. They're going to go down today. And you're right. I've had a chance to be down on the sideline. They let the media come down with about 2 minutes to go, and it's just a beautiful scene.
I mean, you think about it. You're on the sideline, you look to the left, you see Evander Holyfield. You look to the right, you see Mystical and all kinds of celebrities on the sideline, just fired up as the players are fired up. They have the hype, so to speak, as you mentioned, because, Eddie Robb, what he's done for Grambling, for Black college, for college sports in general. Yeah. So, that respect is due. But in our mind, that time is over with. It was time for a new era. And we had the respect for Eddie. We had respect for Doug and all the things they did for the program and for the sport. But in our mindset, it was our time to shine. And we wanted to go out there and make a statement. And through that era, obviously, through our era, we dominated the SWAC, not just Grambling. But it was just a mindset that we had. We wanted to be remembered forever. And think about it. 20 plus years later, I'm talking to you about it. So obviously, it's something right.
Yeah. And you talk about it. I mean, there are other classics in Black college football, but when you just mentioned, coming out that tunnel and you just see a packed stadium, people that look like you, majority, that is a beautiful scene, and some tremendous football was played. You had excitement, explosive plays, you had hard-hitting plays. You had a little bit of everything. You had dynamic coaches, assistant coaches, and we hadn't even talked about the band.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had the band, you had the student sections. It was just an amazing time for college football. And,
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, it was an amazing time for college football, and those are the things. And, a bunch of the teammates, actually a lot of my former teammates are here in Houston or nearby, and we discussed it. At the time, we were basically on a mission. So we never sat back and pat ourselves on the back and looked at what we accomplished and this, that, and the other. But 20 years later, we look back and look and see what we did. And we're like, what, fellas? We did something special. Not many teams go through the conference 3 years undefeated, completely dominating basically off of one side of the football, and stayed focused and stayed hungry week in and week out. It's a different era. I've been in coaching since 2001. And I've seen the generations come behind me, and it's just a different mindset. And, my mission as a coach now is to try to bring that mindset, but some of that comes from within. You can teach a dog. You can't teach a dog to be a dog. He's born a dog. And we had some dogs. Dog AD, was a true dog AD, because you had some individuals that was ready to dog some people out and ride for the family.
Yeah. And speaking of former teammates and being on the field, but there are also events, team dinners. Both teams are at an event before the Bayou Classic. Did those events ever? I'm sure it didn't get out of hand, but was there a look like, we'll see you Saturday, that kind of look? It's funny you mention that. You're right. We have those little banquets the day before, I think 2 days before, whenever we get in town. And they were always pretty much respectful. I'll give them that.
However, I knew, like this, you know when you look a man in the eye and you see fear. And when we looked them in their eye, we saw and knew that they knew that they couldn't beat us. And so, we walked with that smirk. We had that Southern swag. And we knew when we stepped on that field, you knew in your mind you was in trouble. And that's what we saw at those banquets, year in and year out. I call it fake courage. You can recognize fake courage from a mile away. And that's what we saw, a lot of fake courage. It wasn't just with Grambling. We had other banquets, from bowl games and things, and you saw it. Because why? Like I tell folks now, they got to put on that film. When they put on that film, they see the real you. Your coach can talk all that talk he wants, but when you put that film on the tape, that's your product right there. And so they saw the product. They knew for 60 minutes they were going to get some dogs that was trying to bite their head off. And that's what it was.
Visiting with DeMarcus Miller, former defensive tackle at Southern University. The years, again, that you played, 97, 98?
97, 98, 99.
Nah. So, as a matter of fact, I was watching first SWAC championship game on YouTube. You remember that, huh?
Oh, yeah, that was very interesting.
Now, I know we're talking about the Bayou Class, but boy, I'm going to tell you now, just how you talked about Grambling State University, but there was another team that, and I remember doing radio back in the day, and I made a statement kind of, Grambling State playing in Bayou Classic, that's nice, that's family, but
right.
There's another team in this country that literally makes my blood boil.
Carlos, you hit it on the head.
Jackson State.
you hit it on the head, Carlos. And and now I was told that exact statement you made when I got there. They're like, what, the game everybody talks about is the Bayou Classic because that's the one that's been going on forever. He said, but you want to be at a real game? He said, you wait till that Jackson State game. And I was like, okay, whatever. 1997 was my first time out there. And when I say, and Carlos, I'm not kidding, it was about 45,000 people in the stadium screaming, hollering at warm-ups.
Mm-hmm.
At warm-ups. And I'm looking around like, you got to be, because that was, at that time, that was the biggest game that I've ever played in front of. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And you talking about, now, I mentioned about the talking the trash at the banquets and this, that, and the other. Now, that was an interesting one right there at the championship game because they had that same swag.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't a fake courage when they were talking. And it's just like you got two bulls just kicking that back leg and that smoke coming out their nose ready to go at it. Those were some fiery games.
Marcus, is it safe to say that both teams had that energy toward them, a healthy dislike, because they were a lot alike, even the fan bases?
Yes. I would totally have to agree with that. I totally respect the Jackson State because they wasn't scared. You know what I mean? They wasn't scared. The bully is no good when the person that he's bullying is scared of him and won't fight back. That to me, that's not much of a fight. But when you got two bullies that's ready to fight to the end, that's when you have classic moments and classic games. And if you go back and you look at those were some classic moments and some classic games. Now, we came out on top, all of them. I had to say that. However, those were
feel well.
But those were some joyful games. And imagine now, they're trying to bring that energy back with the signing of what's his name, Deion Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure they're trying to bring that fire, that passion back, hopefully through him. But historically, they've always been it's been a great battle, and I've enjoyed those games. I mean, you think about it, they had a lot of NFL players, even when we played. Heck, they had 2 first-round NFL draft picks during that time.
Well, that 99 SWAC championship game, and what's the guy's name? Defensive back.
Rashard Anderson.
Yeah. And then Southern had a guy named Michael Hayes.
Little Michael.
Michael, oh man. I was actually at that game. That was big plays. You had the bands, the fan bases, and to me, that was just so beautiful.
That's where he got his name, Big Play Hayes.
Yeah,
but he had over 200 some yards receiving against an first round NFL draft pick. Come on now.
Yeah,
that's big play.
Yeah. That's kind of why, if you don't understand, maybe you understand a little bit now. Those two institutions and fan bases, and in light of what's going on now, it will not be 1 ounce, not 1 ounce of love. It'll still be the same old Southern and Jackson State. And I'm sure the old school guys will tell him about those games.
Yeah. I don't know if he's experienced. I'm sure he played big time football. However, it's nothing like big time black college football. I tell you, folks ask me all the time, would you do it over if you had a chance? Absolutely not. I wouldn't trade this experience for anything.
Yeah. And speaking of that, big time now, you said you're coaching, but you also do something else that I'm going to tell you. I saw something that you had on the grill, a picture of it, and I literally had a food. I got to be careful here. I just had an enjoyment. We'll put it that way. I was about to go somewhere else with that one. Dr. Chris, shame on me. But you're grilling and cooking now, and I'm gonna tell you, I must. Yeah. So I must have some partake of this great food. But tell everybody what you're doing as far as catering and grilling and you saved me there, Dr. Prince.
Well, I tell folks my main job is I'm an educator and a coach. However, when you have a family of three young ones that want something every day, you got to have a nice side hustle. So my side hustle is Boo Boo's Barbecue and Catering. And what you're talking about is just a few of the little sample pictures that I like to put out, try to tease folks so they can get some in their lips, Yeah, and so I've been trying to get you to come out here, Carlos. I've been saving them plates for you. I get former teammates to come all the way down for me to fire up the pit. Think about it. I know you remember Damian Nivens.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big time offensive linemen we had back in the day.
Yes, sir.
Damian come all the way down to my house, want me to fire up the pit for some smoked Brussels sprouts.
Yes, indeed. And you should have done it.
Oh my goodness! And I fired up I don't need a reason to fire up the pit. You just come on down and say you're ready to eat, and the pit is open. And so I've been giving you this open invitation now for about 5 years. I need you to come on and get it.
But you know what? I think particularly when Southern plays Prairie View and they're at Prairie View, I think that's a great thing to do. And by the way, congratulations, done some catering for Coach Dooley.
Yeah, right. Prairie View finally got some in their lips. I think that's why they signed all their players those 2 weekends.
Look, it's not official yet because it hadn't crossed my lips. And the fact that I'm from the Show Me State, Missouri, I don't believe it until I taste it for myself.
Oh, that's a challenge there, tomorrow.
I love a challenge now. You better stop.
Yeah.
You know me, Carlos.
He's from St. Louis. They are known for their barbecue.
I don't have to say nothing else, do I?
I've been told about the St. Louis. I've been, a good friend of mine, Kansas City, all she talked about was Kansas City barbecue until she got some in her lips. And she said, I'll say no more.
Show me.
I'm going to show you.
Show me.
Show you right.
Show you right. Show me. Show me what you're talking about. Now, are you a barbecue or are you a pitman?
I'm a pit master.
Okay, then. Show me, brother.
I'm a pit master.
In the infamous words of Santorio Black. Look, in Santorio Black, hiya, shata.
Use him, though.
I think it would have you speaking out of yourself. Yeah, and I'm just basing that on the pictures, but I'm sure the taste and will be just outstanding.
That might have been Photoshop, man. We don't know what that was. He talking about a picture. I don't need no picture, man. They say a picture worth 1,000 words, but one bite is worth a lifetime.
Like I told my wife a long time ago, whatever I do and enjoy doing it, you better believe I'm going to be the best at it.
It's done with a taste of love, a touch of love. Well, on that note, Mr. Miller, DeMarcus Boo Boo Miller, appreciate the time as always. Continue to good luck in your profession and your business. And boy, I can't wait to get a taste. I'm gonna get it. And I said I wasn't gonna say this, but you know what to save me. I'm gonna sample a little bit of everything. You know, you got to sample it all. You got to coordinate. But the pork belly, oh my goodness, it was love at first sight.
Hey, this what you do, Carlos, because you my man. You send me a list of everything you want me to put in that pit, and it's done.
Oh,
it's done.
I got colleagues saying, send me the link. Oh my goodness.
I'm going to take care of you.
I say this, you know, when you're from Louisiana and cooking, you're arrogant, you know.
Right.
You're a Southern fan, you're arrogant as well. But and we know good food.
Exactly.
So we have a slight expertise in taste and spices. DeMarcus, I'll get that list to you.
Yeah, it is.
But
you forget, you forget I did spend 10 years of my life out there in BR. So I picked up some things as well now.
There you go. Coordinate, see?
Coordinate.
Spices with the meat, the pit master. You on your way. You're on your way. So with that being said, let's get together again, and I'm sure we can have other conversations, your coaching career and what have you. And by the way, I'm not sure if you, well, I'm pretty sure you know this, but Coach Richardson lost his wife, and that was a tough situation. And I got a chance to interview him about 3 months ago, and you know, at the time he was doing well, and both of you guys have slimmed down a bit, trimmed down.
Oh, Rich don't need to slim. He need to eat.
He lost a little bit of weight, but so have you.
Right. It's a little bit, just a change of a few things, you know, change a few diets. I don't put too much boo-boos too often, you know, because that'll stick to your hips once it gets in your lips. But he's trying to get
somebody else needs to learn that lesson. We won't mention no names. But you and your family continue to be safe and blessed, and we'll get together soon in person, and then we'll talk again real soon on the show.
I appreciate you, Carlos. Every time, it's always it's a pleasure. I love chit-chatting with you. We have a great time every time, and till the next time, see you guys later, man. Y'all take care.
All right. Take care. God bless.
All right.
All right. That was DeMarcus Miller, 97, 98, 99 defensive tackle. Some of you have said we will reach out to him on Facebook and the website. Yeah, we did. You know what? We'll get the information to you because people are asking about it. Yes, Willard, I'll take care of you. Will is out there in the great state of out your way there, Dr. Prince. And a Southern guy, blue and gold. You know, that's one thing about black colleges and alums. you kind of connect with them all over. If you're in Baton Rouge, you know of Jackson State alums that are in Baton Rouge, and Grambling, and Texas Southern, et cetera, et cetera. And we're all connected in some kind of way, even outside the sporting events and athletics. So let me do this. Let me take a time out. Come back. We'll visit with Coach Pettaway and get his thoughts on this early season basketball wins and losses. And remind you, it's still early. But once again, Prairie View and UAPB women, outstanding. Texas Southern men, great effort. Southern University, you'll be there. You'll be there. And all the rest in the conference. Coach Pettaway coming up next. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
Serving the community through faith and athletics. The Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network serving student athletes from Little League, high school, and collegiate coverage right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. From coast to coast, from dusk till dawn. You can catch all student athletic action right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the station designed with you in mind. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, the voice of student athletics.
You're looking to expand your business or services? Let the Open Mic Broadcast Network help lead the way. With our customized campaigns, we are definitely able to reach your target audience. For more information, dial 832-213-8824. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics. The voice of student athletics. At 17 cents a day, you can make a huge impact on our local and regional high school and college student athletic coverage. We provide local talk shows, live game coverage, and much, much more. But we need your support to continue to move forward. Visit our website today at obnradio.com. Click on the PayPal button, which is safe and secure, and become a listening partner today. Will you become part of the Open Mic Broadcast Network team? Visit that website at obnradio.com and become a listening partner today. Serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. The guests that I've had today so far, Santoria Black of the Graham State Radio Network, DeMarcus Miller, former Southern University football player, and now Coach Van Pettaway. No Charles Edmond today. He is on his way to Kansas, I guess, with the Alcorn State women's basketball team. But I bring to you now Coach Pettaway. Coach, good morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning, Carlos. I'm happy to be here. Had a blessed Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody else did. And I'm ready to go, ready to talk about some basketball.
Yeah, talk some basketball now. I'm going to go for another round of some delicious gravy and turkey wings and rice. And let me stop right there. You know what? The last guest got me hungry. Marcus Miller. But I'm glad you had a great Thanksgiving, you and your family. And, Coach, we're going to spend the rest of today's show talking some basketball. And I'm going to try not to get into any trouble. But, you know, there's good trouble and there's bad trouble.
Oh, yeah.
So hopefully I'll have some good trouble in between. Kudos to Prairie View A&M men's basketball team, 64-61 victory over Evansville.
Good win, great
women
Yep.
over Arkansas State, 85-68. Coach, I look at those games critically, and just congratulations to them, and also Texas Southern. They had Washington State on the ropes.
Oh yes, 56-52. It's great basketball being played this time of the year. Unfortunately for the SWAC, most of ours are going to be guarantee games. But when you can schedule right and you can get an opponent that's similar to what you're doing at your institution, then you've got a better chance of winning basketball games. Like Southern lost in overtime to North Carolina Central. You know that's a team that's on our level in the SWAC. And then of course you mentioned UAPB's women beat Arkansas State. You know that's not a major conference. You know that's a team closer to what we're playing. And see I think that comes off to good scheduling. You know they still may get a little money, not as much when you play the Power 5 schools, but you have a better chance of winning a basketball game, and at the same time, you got a better chance of your kids feeling good about themselves. So when we go up against the Power 5 schools, a lot of times we're overmatched, and that's hard for your kids to feel good about themselves after you get pounded by some of those schools, because some of them they're not going to let up off of you. And when I coached the game, I had an agreement with my athletic director. I'm only going to play so many of these games now, because when you sign me as your coach, not as your main fundraiser. You know that's supposed to be the people up on campus somewhere. Yeah, if I'm playing these games and it's going to supplement the athletic department or supplement my program in particular, then I'll be more favorable to play more of these games. And I did it one year. I played 11. The most I've ever played was 11, but I had a specific reason. The president at the time at Alabama A&M was Dr. Jennings, and he allowed me to play I talked with him. I gave him a plan. If you let me play these games and keep this money, I'm going to renovate our basketball arena. And he said, Coach, you want to do that? I said, yes. He said, you going to sacrifice a season to play these games, to do this for the university? I said, yes. He said, as long as I'm the president, you're going to have a job. Unfortunately, he only lasted one more year. Yeah. But the thing is, that's the most games I've ever played. And I knew I was playing, my team was not ready for that. I had 6 freshmen, and 4 of them started. But our facility needed an upgrade. And we used every dime to put theater seats or go from bleachers to individual seats downstairs in our arena. So, when the money is going back to the program, when you can reinvest, when you can get money for recruiting, when you can get money, in our case, if you could get money for scholarships, then that's a sacrifice you and your team should make. But I've always been against playing the non-conference schedule, all game guarantees. That doesn't help your team. See, if you want to help your team, give them some confidence. Confidence is the biggest thing that athletes have and need. Now, if I'm being pounded every night, it's hard for my offense and defense to work because those kids don't believe in it. You've got to give them some confidence by allowing them to play some games against people on their level. That's why one of the things that I tried to do when I was coach, this is the only thing that I regret. I never pulled off the MEAC SWAC challenge. And I fought for that. I fought for it. I had 2 teams in the SWAC. My team and 2 other teams that had agreed that, Van, if you can put it together, we'll do it. I don't know if you all know Dr. Kenyatta Cavill. I went to him with that.
Oh,
I said,
I know him.
I went to him, and I said, we need this, man. If we had a preseason tournament, then we can rotate this thing between the SWAC and the MEAC. We can open up
against each other. Now we're playing against like budgets, like players. It gives our teams a better chance. And my only problem with that, I could not get enough people in the MEAC to agree to it. Alabama State and I, we already had it for Alabama. When we would host in Alabama, we knew that if we both played in that doubleheader, that our fans would come out. It would be a sellout. It would be a sellout. And we couldn't come up with enough teams in the MEAC because at the time, Fame Mitchell was still up there. He was totally against it. He said, no, we don't need to be playing each other. We don't need to be killing each other because we already got to play these guarantee games. You know,
that Coppin State?
Yeah, it was at Coppin State, yes, yes. But you got people like Cy. Cy had agreed to do it. In fact, Dr. Cavill put on a game in Birmingham where I played South Carolina State. So there were things in the works to try to get something for the HBCUs, and I thought it was a great first step. We just could not pull off that preseason thing that we were going to try to get exempt so that the NC2A would allow us to play these games, and all the games wouldn't count against your schedule. So that's the kind of thing I think that we still need to look at, because you got postseason play where you had it when the MEAC and the SWAC played in football, and then, of course, they even opened the season up with games. So we were trying to do the same thing in basketball, and I hope somebody now will pick up that mantle and continue to explore that possibility, because I would love to see that. I think our fans would love to see us go up against the MEAC in a preseason tournament. You find out where your teams are at an early stage without getting blown out the water, and I think it just helps. Yeah, you got to play some of those games to help the budget, but you're not the main fundraiser, and you shouldn't be exploiting those kids. See, quoting Coach Joe, you prostituting your players when you do that. You know, that was a thing that he was against, and I guess that's been part of my thinking. Yeah, you can play some of them for a purpose, but just to play them for budgetary reasons, I don't think that's fair. Because in football, you don't see them. If they play a guaranteed game, they only playing one. So why make a basketball coach play 12 and 14 guarantee games? That's not fair to his program, not fair to his kids. That's not fair to that coach. He'll never get another job because people hire you on your one-loss record. Yeah, how are you going to have a winning record? That means if you lose all your non-conference games, that means you just to have a winning season, you got to dominate your conference. That's not going to happen every year. That is not going to happen every year. And then this thing where they tell you, okay, well, we're not going to worry about the non-conference games. We're only going to base you on what you do in the SWAC.
Someone told me that.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Wait a minute, explain that, because and he's not here to defend himself, not that he does, but Charles Edmond literally told me that exactly what you said. Coaches are going to be judged on, I think he used another word, on their conference schedule. So
Nah, you don't see that. You don't see a AD or a president sit down with you when they do that evaluation at the end of the season and say, okay, coach, you had overall losing record, but you had a winning record in the league, so we're going to extend you. No, that ain't finna happen. That's not finna happen. So don't be fooled by that. Don't be fooled by that. Because the fans are looking at overall record. They don't care that you had to supplement the budget. They don't care about that. They look at that overall record. But I guess that's enough of my soapbox. But I am real proud of what I've seen. I actually got the chance to see the Southern and Iowa game, and they played against one of the top players in the country, the guy who's probably going to be the player of the year in Division I basketball, Gaza. That Southern just did not have. They did not have a person on their team that could actually match up with this guy. For those people that don't know, he's a center. He's a traditional center, low post, has great footwork. He's going to be a lot of your team. Huh?
he can shoot out.
Yeah, he can step away too. He can stretch the floor. But he's a complete player. So how many times do you go into a game and a player take as many shots as he does and he only misses one? And, and Coach Woods, they change it up. They open up the second half in the zone to try to keep the ball out of his hands. But, they were just overmatched in the paint. They lost the battle of the paint. They did. There were plenty of things that they can take away from that game and that they can build on. Just like Prairie View, they'll win over Evansville. But see, prior to that, Prairie View, even though they lost, Prairie View still played well against Little Rock.
Yeah,
that. So we're doing some good things when it comes to scheduling and playing, and then of course the virus has hit everybody else. I think Jackson State's game was canceled. So you're seeing games not just in the SWAC but all across the country being canceled because of the virus. Most of the preseason tournaments didn't have their original fields in it, and it's all because of the virus. So you got to be able to remember last week we put that word out there, adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
That's what has to happen this year when it comes to basketball in the SWAC.
Yeah,
and nationwide.
Coach, getting people who are listening in, one wanted to know what would be limited guarantee games. What would you suggest?
4 to 5, no more than that.
Mm-hmm.
No more than that. You supplement the budget. You shouldn't have to make up the entire budget. 4 to 5 is supplementing the budget, and at the same time, you're giving your kids an opportunity to play up against tougher competition, which is supposed to help you in the long run. But if those kids get destroyed mentally, that's not going to help you in the long run. And I'm telling you that. From a coaching aspect,
it's so easy.
Right.
It's so easy for, director of athletics, they say you've got to play these games. But to your point, you shouldn't be the fundraiser.
Correct. That's the AD's job, and it's somebody that research development. Yes, that's them. That's their job. But yes, to supplement, I'm all for that. I give you 2 to 3 games. Now let's go play. Now even in that, we gonna be very selective as to who we're gonna play.
In other words, they're smart. Is that
back in the day? Oklahoma will give you 100,000, but when Billy Tubbs was there, they'll beat you by 100. I'm not playing them. I remember when Connecticut called, they offered my AD 100,000, so he's running down to the office. He's all excited. I said, yeah, but I play a game. I play a game on Monday. They want to play on Tuesday. I'm not doing that. I don't care how much they offer. I'm not doing that. You know who did take that offer? Texas Southern. Texas Southern took that offer. They went up. They played on Monday and flew to Connecticut and played that night and got beat by 60. There's no time in between.
And Coach, and I understand your valid points. Limited games. You're crystal clear on that, and I agree with you on that. And we've given kudos to Prairie View, UAPV, and Texas Southern. But now, by the same token, we've seen that North Carolina Central team lose to a powerful Iowa team. And by the way, Southern has Gonzaga coming up. Have you seen Gonzaga? Wow.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, did you see what they put on Auburn?
Yeah.
They didn't hold back on Auburn, did they?
No.
Right.
And these, mid-major teams and playing them, but also by the same token, we had Mississippi Valley State, among others, that really, they just, I felt for them.
Oh, I did too.
Really did. It was really bad. And then I'm going to be honest with you, I was upset with Alcorn State women playing Southeastern and losing by that many points.
Right.
I'm happy that, you're getting some of the top players coming to HBCUs, but you're going to need a little more than just one player. It's a start.
Right.
But I don't think it will make up that much ground by getting one player, a game changer. You're going to need a couple more and some other things like recruiting budget and some other things to help with facilities.
Right.
And I'm not saying that people are saying that's it's going to work because of getting one player. I'm just saying let's not lose focus on other things that are needed as well.
Correct. It takes a lot to have a program, and that's some of the things are out of your control. You have no control over your facilities. You have no control over how much money they put in your budget for recruiting. You have no control when it comes to your travel budget sometimes. These are the things that we have to look at. Our fans, a lot of the fans don't understand that. And in some cases now, some of the schools they need to look at. Because I know when I retired from Alabama A&M, I never had all my scholarships. And a lot of people didn't know that. The success we did it because we put the work in, but we never had all of the scholarships. And a lot of people did not know that. That did not come out until 2 or 3 years after I left. And I started bringing it to people's attention. So it takes a lot to have a successful program and to sustain a successful program. And in these hard times now, see, in some of these guaranteed games that they're getting now, they're not even getting all the money that you normally would get.
Yeah.
Right, because they don't have the gate to offset the money that they're giving you. So they have to cut those game guarantees that way down. Yeah. And that's one of the things that we got to look at. But I'm excited about the season in the SWAC. Like I said, I had the eyeball test with Southern. Prairie View played Evansville. That's a team that beat Kentucky last year. So you know they got a solid program. So that tells me that PV is ready. And remember, in my prediction, at first I didn't have Prairie View up there because I didn't think they would have the games to get the new kids acclimated. But see, he's using this preseason schedule to do that. And these kids are banding together. They've had 2 good games. They could very easily be 2-0.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the SWAC season. I'm just trying to figure out my method of actually seeing the games, since I'm not going to be putting myself at risk by going into too many arenas.
And last time we talked, and I talked to some colleagues, and then I went digging a little bit. Now I'm not as shocked as when they picked Texas Southern to win on the men's side. Watch out. Old Johnny Jones. Oh, see, he's down native. He's sneaking.
He had all those kids sitting out.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, he had those kids in his program sitting out.
Mm-hmm.
So they already know him. They know his system.
And guess what? Now, one of the things I complained about, some would say, about always starting off with Texas Southern and Prairie View early. Southern, you'll find out right off the bat.
Yep. They got to go.
Now, you said the eye test with Southern quickly. See, I thought maybe it's, chemistry. They got some people that are coming back at some talent quickly in about 45 seconds. What do you think they need to do?
Well, I think they're doing it. They're doing it. He's changing his defense. What's his name? Shrivers, the guard, and he looked pretty good yesterday. That game was on the Big Ten Network. He looked pretty good. Some of the new kids are coming in and helping. I just think once they get an opportunity to continue to practice, get some more practice time in because of the virus, they've already lost practice time. I think they'll be okay.
Quickly, maybe we will pick this up next week. A listener says there are too many incentive clauses in these coaches' contracts that make them want to get every win. I guess
every win.
Wait a minute. There's too many incentive clauses in these coaches' contracts that make them want to get every dime they can get. I'm sorry. Instead of working within their budget.
Right. We'll talk about it. We got a chance. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Well, continue to stay safe, be blessed, and you and your family. And we'll talk again next Saturday.
Okay. Thank you. Be blessed.
All right. Want to thank Dr. Michael Prince for producing today's show. Also, Santoria Black, DeMarcus Miller, and Coach Van Pettaway. Until next time at 10 a.m. for the Coles Brown Show, right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.